but it's good to be back. And I hope that in today I will be able to deliver a lecture that is not just good, but will remind us of why it is so important for us to be cultivating Tao. So, kinabagbekang ito ante to si kito 得道是难，得到的是难，咱都爱知影讲，咱有得到多无？有一个机会当得到是，哇，难得会使，咱都爱知影讲，也做也做也做，也做chance，也做啥，也做那有一项代志无顺利尔，咱都会啥，咱都会错过，咱都会无就这个机会当得到。所以，第这个专题无，希望去希望咱知咱活好起了，咱知咱活好起，进修这个受道的机会。So, my lecture for tonight is about the four difficulties of attaining Tao. We have to understand in this lecture. I hope that in this lecture, I can make all of you understand that in order for us to attain Tao, there's a lot of things have to be right. And that now that we have received Tao and are given the opportunity to cultivate, after hearing this lecture, we should be more diligent and work harder towards cultivating ourselves more. So, 我要教咱讲这个故事的是例子，这个example，是咱的是讲讲讲有机会当得到是话难得的代志，我拍一拍很的代志。咱的涉及不做，好咱的这个例子，像咩叫做盲龟父母来甲咱教咱讲教咱讲咱有机会当得到是话艰苦。你什么叫做盲龟父母？盲龟父母就是讲，伊讲有一只黑龟，黑龟是 你感觉这个学期来，这个差，也希望也迄个差中啊，甲伊头壳，点这个头一顶悬的差中啊，甲伊头壳剩的这个啥，这个差会空，你感觉这个会使每一百年，多多少少甲伊的头壳会当成的这个差，这个差中啊会空。很少看卖。So before I start describing all four of the difficulties, our Buddha Siddhartha described gave an anecdote to describe the rarity for us to be given the opportunity to cultivate. Now, he described it in such a way, like a blind turtle with its head through a log. Now, this blind turtle, as he stated, swims up the surface once every 100 years, which is feasible because a turtle has a very long lifespan. It can live over 150 years, 200, maybe even longer. Now, on the surface of the ocean, there is a log drifting on the ocean, and in this log, there is a hole at the center. But this turtle is blind, and this turtle he only swims up the surface once every 100 years. So what do you think are the chances that this turtle, which is blind, which only swims up the surface once every 100 years, would pass its head through the hole at the center of a log that is drifting above an ocean. This is very rare, correct? 这个是真罕见的代志，是唔是？有可能，若是你要用啥用 statistic， 用啥用比例的方法，可能10000造发生这样代志。所以，咱受到有机会让得到，嘛叫这个亡国父母，亡故我不要这个代语，亡国父母头壳会当存的一个坑，会话难得，会难得。So how do you think? What do you think are the chances that all of these will come together? That a turtle that swims up the surface once every 100 years and also blind will be able to pass his head through a log that happens to also have a hole in it. It's super incredibly rare, like 1 in a million chance of this happening. You are much more likely to win the lotto than for this to happen. In this way, Siddhartha describes to us how rare it is for us to be given the opportunity to receive and to cultivate Tao. So 这就是咱的佛祖，释迦佛祖，互咱知影讲，咱得到都是偌难得的代志。所以咱要哪知影得到都是最难得。下面是叫做得到的四难，得到四难。头一样就是人生难得，人心难得。Okay, so the first one is the difficulty of attaining a human body. Now, 这个咱大家人即嘛是有人心，咱大家人拢活诶做，咱拢是人。可能咱遮咧查 Zoom 诶无可能一个是动物，或是啥，或是别个毋是人，咱拢是人。咱知影咱做人是偌难得诶代志，了，其实咱做人嘛是有好，嘛是有歹。啥物是做人诶好，啥物是做人诶歹？咱诶老祖都甲咱讲，伫《道德经》，咱诶老祖讲：吾患此身，无爱自身，无爱此身。伊即个意思就是讲，咱诶身躯有互咱做侪痛苦，毋过咱诶身躯嘛是有互咱做侪爱。Okay, so in order for us to attain a human body, it's a blessing and also a curse. Just as our Lao Tzu, our great teacher Lao Tzu has said in the Tao Te Ching, he said that the body gives pain and the body also gives joy. So, 有啥物老子那讲，身躯互咱也侪痛苦，因为咱身躯无，咱的身躯有叫做六个叉，那六个叉就是咱的目睭、咱的耳仔、咱的鼻仔、咱的喙、咱的身躯，加咱的意，这个就是咱的六个叉。伊是叫做咱的六个叉无，就是为着这个咱这个六个叉无，咱这个就是咱的目睭、鼻仔，拢总迄个六个无，就是为着这个咱则反映侪。若是咱看到无好诶代志，咱听到无好诶代志，咱闻到无好诶物件，这就是无好诶物件会入来诶所在。了，咱会讲无好诶话，做无好诶代志，甲受无好诶代志，这个都是无好诶物件出来诶所在。因若咱无甲这个六个叉控制好势无？咱都干那受假尔，咱都毋是在咧受真，咱都是干那咧做人，咱毋是咧做佛。要咱做人无，咱干那靠这六个叉，咱对得也侪，做也侪歹的因果。要为着这项六个叉无，咱都袂变佛，可能佫会落个地狱，落个做动物，又落个做鬼。So why did Lao Tzu say that the body gives pain Well, there's a sinful six that's causing us pain. The sinful six equates to our six senses: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the body, and the mind. Now, these six senses are the very source of what caused us to commit so many wrongdoings. The eyes sees bad, the ears hears bad, and the nose smells bad. So these are the points in which bad things get into us. And then the mouth speaks bad, the body does bad, and the mind thinks bad. And these are the points where the bad comes out from us. And if we do not take good care that we are not controlled by our sinful six senses, then we will do a lot of bad things. And in doing bad things, we, we obtain bad karma. And in having so many bad karma, we end up not living as saints, but living merely as human who is destined in their passing to descend into the realm of the animal, of the hell, and of the ghost. So, nga silan using kubo, lan kanaho laki chat kong jebo, lan to kana to pai dai ji nya. Mko, lan ulin sin bo, lan using kubo, lan masi lan uba tebo, masi kana chige wanin, lan zhou hoa dan xiu do, gao hoa dan cao sheng yao shi. 咱有法当伊叫为什么咱爱有辛苦才有法当受多？咱有六道轮回嘛？六道轮回时阵无，第一就是气天，第二就是阿修罗，第三就是人，第四动物，第五鬼，第六地狱嘅。敢若人，敢若有肉体，敢若人有肉体，要人有智慧，通受多。做功德、救度、传道、教下讲道、做道，拢总是甲有灵气造化人做，其他无，你搁安怎想要受道无？嘛无法度，为啥物咱无法度？为着咱无法当受到名师的一指点，无法当救得到。So even if our human body gives us pain because of our six senses, the body can also give us joy because in living as people, we can transcend the suffering of birth and death through Tao cultivation. Because it's only in living as a human being that we can receive Tao, that we can cultivate, that we can propagate and transcend. There's the six realms of reincarnation. So the first is the spirit of the lower heaven, and then there's also the asura realm, there's the human realm, there's the animal realm, and there's the hungry ghost realm and the hell realm. Now, only those living in the human realm are privileged enough to have a body, but to also have wisdom and the spirit to cultivate to receive Tao. And that's why we are very lucky. 咱想看卖，其實要做人時陣無，唔是真簡單嘅代志。要做人是愛經過咱做遐濟功德，咱做遐濟好代志，咱收到遐濟好嘅因果，才有法通做人。所以咱來探索這個機會，咱都愛這叫做借假修真，借假修真，用咱嘅腹肚，用咱嘅身軀，用咱嘅社肉體，做好代志來傳道，來修道。Our body is the cause of our grief, but it can also cause us joy, because one of the main precepts of Tao is to use the unreal to spread the truth. Now, to become a human, to be born as a human, takes a lot of good things to happen. a lot of good things have to happen for us to be born as human. It requires an accumulation of too many merits from several lifetimes of so many good karma. Because if we do not have enough, we will be born in different realm, lower than human, as animals, as ghosts, or as hell beings. But since we're human, we should take this opportunity to use the unreal to spread the truth. What is using the unreal to spread the truth? The unreal is our human body, and the truth is our spiritual, our truth, our essence. So we use our human body to propagate Tao, to cultivate Tao, and to transcend. So 咱就是为着咱有一个假，就是咱有一个肉体，咱嘛是有一个真，咱有灵性。咱造化的当下，咱造化人才受道，所以咱都爱趁这机会，为着咱有灵性，咱有身躯无，咱有肉体无，咱都已经是真大福气啊！咱都爱了解，咱都爱了解这点。So because we have the human body and we can use our human body, which is fake, which is temporary, which will pass over time, to elevate what is eternal, which is our spirit. Then in this way, we can use our body, our faith, to elevate the real. 咱造化当为着假无，咱的腹肚是，咱的身躯是假，身躯是假是为着咱的身躯唔是永远，咱的身躯会烂去，会歹去，会死去。不过咱的灵性无是永远的，咱搁袂踮地球，咱搁袂踮世界出世时阵无，咱的灵性都已经有伫遐咯。不过咱的身躯是假，会无去，咱会死去。不过若是咱有身躯无，通用咱的身躯，利用咱的身躯，通受道，通互咱的灵性做好代志，光明，有法当下，有人发亮咱的心灯，所以咱都爱会记嘅。有灵性无是足福气。所以第二，三持难易。这个就是讲，咱活的这个第三持无为着，咱的受道务有叫做三持，咱即嘛是活的第三持，第三期，活的第三期无嘛是一个福气。等下教学会甲咱解释讲，为虾米咱第三个期无算作是福气，不过嘛是有一寡爱互咱进行的代志。So the second of the difficulty is the difficulty of living in the right period. Now, what does it mean that it is difficult to live in the right period? Well, there are 3 periods of Tao propagation, and we are currently living in the 3rd. And to understand how lucky we are, we have to know what the other periods were like, because it wasn't always easy. But even if we're living in the correct period also comes with its set of challenges. And that's why we have to know what these challenges are to snap us into a more urgent and awakened state. So, 那是咱大道没有如果大道没有降世的是咱的大道无落的世界无，人拢袂分清楚啥物是真，啥物是假，了嘛无明白啥物是理，啥物是欲，咱干那为着欲受到伤害。So, as long as the Tao has not descended to the world, to us, then we will never understand the truth from untruth. We will not know what is real and what is unreal, and then we will only be tempted by worldly desires and not utilize our time to do good deeds. So, 起码咱来了解讲，咱的三期三期有啥物三期？第一，咱的青阳期， 等一下，你较好看。青阳期，咱青阳期是有差不多有1500年的时阵。这个是1500年的时阵无，咱都已经有法当传道，不过传道的人也少，干那国王、皇帝有法当传道。这三个相片就是咱的，就是有个写，有个传道的写的人，这就是尧，这尧无，伊有受得到，干那法当传过一个人，就是后一个皇帝，就是舜。要算无就是咁强啊！伊干那我人传互伊，干那一个尔。要伊早会通得得到诶，嘛是干那皇帝，这三个拢是皇帝。了，这个皇帝毋是交即马诶皇帝共款哦，咱即马皇帝拢是讲是共款一个家庭诶，所阿公、爸爸、囝，迄就是即马诶啥，即马诶皇帝。伊早毋是。尧敬舜是伊看着舜是上下做皇帝诶人，上有 leadership， 上有迄个啥，上有法度人带动别人诶人。了舜嘛是看着伊敬伊，嘛是共款即个原因。即种总无有差不多18个，有尧舜禹汤文武周公，其他甲歹查出来是倒一个人。毋过就是啥，就是有18个。Okay, so in the Green Yang period, it's the first period. And during this first period, which lasted for 1,500 years, the Tao is transmitted through just the rulers, the emperors, the kings. They are the only one who has the decree of heaven to transmit Tao. And only can it be transmitted to one person, the next in line to succeed the throne. And unlike today, unlike the modern day, the monarchy then did not pass on based on ancestry. So it's not like the grandpa was the king, and then the father was the king, and now the son is the king. That was not the way that it was. There was no such thing as a political dynasty. It was the first person in line, which in this case, in this picture that we're seeing, is Yao. He found the most qualified person to be next in line, to be the heir of his throne. And the most qualified person is Shun, the one at the center. And same goes for Shun. The next in line was also not his son, not his family, not of his blood, but someone he saw as most qualified to be the next in line. And so he appointed Yi as the king and transmitted Tao to Yi. This went on for 18 kings, 18 emperors, which included Yao, Shun, Yi, Tang, Wen, Wu, Zhou Gong, and the rest. It's harder to find out their names, but it went on for like 18 kings. So this is the first, the Green Yang period. That was how Tao was transmitted then, through kings, and only a person to another. 第二步就是咱的弘扬期，咱的弘扬期无有3000年的时间，3000，这3000无交咱的信仰期的无共款无，会差别无，就是讲迄个时阵无，毋是皇帝，毋是国王咧传道，是上有智慧的先师，一个上有学问的，有迄个啥，有迄个天命通传道。譬如讲，咱的孔子、老子，你看到迄相片就是老子咧传道互孔子的时阵，了孔子传互伊的学生，嘛是干那一个尔，颜回，了为着颜回较早归空，比孔子较早归空， 比较人传到第二个，都是咱的政治。要嗰两一个就是啥六组，六组是向五组传的，所以这个时阵无，嘛是干那一个传的迄款的方法，较少人的迄款的啦，无讲就等下第三个同款，所以这个就是咱的弘扬期。Now, the second one is our Red Young period. The Red Young period lasted for 3,000 years, and like the Green Young period, the Tao is transmitted. The decree of heaven is given to one person and transmitted to another person, one by one on one. But unlike the Green Yang period, on this time, it was not the king, not the emperor, not the ruler, but the greatest scholar, the wisest teacher, the learned ones that has the decree of Tao. And that person transmit to another. And there's a smaller, there's small quantities, very small, very, very limited in scope. So what you're seeing in this picture is an example of one such saint which had the authority to transmit Tao to another. This was Lao Tzu. And the other one in the picture, the younger one, is Confucius. And in this picture, he was transmitting Tao to Confucius. That was how the Tao was passed down. And Confucius later, he passed down the Tao to his student Yan Hui. But sadly, Yan Hui passed away before Confucius did. So in order to not have the chain of Tao broken, he passed it down to Zheng Zi. And another example is our sixth patriarch, which have the fifth patriarch passed the Tao to him. 这个时阵无，这弘扬期无，其实这时阵是也侪人已经想要有得到道的机会啊！你离开厝内做下修，去佛堂拜拜，读册，知影佛道，知影佛祖咧教的，研究佛祖咧教的一寡经典。不过虽然这时阵是也侪人咧想要有学问无，但是真正有机会当得到道的人。嘛，差不多一两个迄款尔尔，足少诶。譬如讲，咱的孔子，咱的老祖学生足多啦。不过伊敢若传落一个尔，就是孔子。了孔子伊学生嘛足多，不过伊敢若传落一个。了嘛毋是逐摆讲，哦，咱成绩诶成绩相关诶人，都有得着道，毋是哦。像譬如讲，咱的六祖，咱的六祖无，伊得着道时阵无，是五祖传互伊。五祖迄时阵嘛也侪学生，有几下个足巧的学生。不过伊看到无，拢无感觉讲即个学生有需要互伊传道。不过伊看到六祖无，六祖是一个啥？一个无智人，一个若是咱。平常迄款人看会到的迄款，这就是啥六祖，伊看到伊感觉讲，即个人有啥修养，有功德，有资格通得到道，才好传道伊。So in the Red Young period, let me see. Okay, in the Red Young period, the Tao was passed down from person to person, and it's usually the one that has the most qualifications to receive the Tao that receives it. Even during this time, though, a lot of people are already leaving their homes, going to temples, studying the way of the saints and sages. But only very select few were able to attain the Tao. So, for example, our Lao Tzu is a very well-known teacher. He's known as a great teacher. He has many students, but the only one that he was able to transmit Tao down to is Confucius, because Confucius was the only one qualified. And the same goes to Confucius. He has many students as well, but Yan Hui was the only one. And then when Yan Hui passed away, Zheng Zi was the only one. And it's not always the case that the smartest, that the most talented person gets the Tao transmitted. Like in the case of our sixth patriarch. When sixth patriarch received the Tao, it was by fifth patriarch who was popular, had a lot of students, and a lot of his students were really smart. And in comparison, sixth patriarch was a mere commoner, young, uneducated, illiterate. But the fifth patriarch saw that he was most qualified to receive, and that's why he passed it down. He passed Tao down to the sixth patriarch. So this is how the Red Yang period, the Tao was transmitted during the Red Yang period. 这就是咱弘扬时时阵无安怎传导，虽然咱讲六祖无读册，无晓看册，也无晓看字，毋过五祖看到伊上啥上下上有智慧，上有资格通得到道，照法通传落伊。啊，咱要了解无，就要知影即个啥用咱譬如讲咱看啥电影，咱看 Star Wars。Star Wars 迄款 Jedi 有法通传 Jedi 迄个啥迄个名无，嘛是交即个弘扬寺传的共款。虽然咱讲 Star Wars 电影，咱那款一个人互囡仔看的故事，不过其实 Star Wars 交佛教 ，Star Wars 是用佛教的故事来写 Star Wars 的，所以其实 Star Wars 安怎传 Jedi 交，你我交弘扬寺安怎传导，你有共款。So even though Star Wars is a movie that seems to be designed for kids, the Red Yang period Tao transmission is a little similar to how the Jedi is transmitted in Star Wars. Very select few are qualified and passed down. And even though Star Wars is a work of fiction, it is actually based a lot on the teachings of Buddhism. So we can imagine how the Red Yang period people live by imagining how the Jedi mandate is passed down in Star Wars movies. So that's like a more not serious way of looking at things, but it gives us a good idea. So 第三步，咱即马话就是白羊期 ，White Yang period。白羊期就是啥？白羊期是1,800年。咱这相片看到无？就是咱伫2018年的时阵无？啥迄个宿务的先天图伊的30周年。咱这个咱白羊期无就交这相片看到共款。若是一个人有冤有缘分有功德，了有拄着名师，都有法通得着道。这个就是叫咱弘扬寺交庆阳寺的差别，就是有，若是咱有冤呀，咱有啥？咱有缘分呀，咱有名师通互咱传道无？咱都要得着道。就是啥？这个就是咱的这个做大道普渡的时代。So this is the third one. It is the White Yang period. During the White Yang, in this picture we can see the White Yang period is as long as 10,800 years. And in this picture we are seeing that this picture was taken on year 2018 on the 30th anniversary of the Cebu temple. Now in this picture we can see that people like you and me can receive Tao as long as we have the affinity, as long as we have the wisdom, we have the good karma, and as long as we have the enlightened master to transmit it to us, any of us can receive Tao. And thus, White Yang period is known as the era of the great propagation, of the great Tao propagation. 大道普渡。Each one of us can receive Tao as long as we have met the right master. 手机嘅相片咱看到无？咱有晒点传输，有咱的插点传输，咱的酒店传输。要开酒店传输边仔的一个挂目镜的，是甲敢若款咱的菲律宾的新闻叫做东布诺的一个写一个挂目镜的人无？诶学长无？迄嘛是咱的电传师，迄叫做林金龙电传师，伊嘛是一个电传师。了，咱即马伫 Zoom 内底无嘛是有一个电传师叫做天电传师，伊嘛是对说无来的。是我毋知影，即时阵我翕相时阵，我若无翕到伊，可能伊伫别位。毋过伊嘛是有参加即个30周年。Now, in this picture, we can see that there are 3 masters: our Master Tai, our Master Joe, and the man standing beside Master Joe, who looks like the news reporter from Philippines named Dong Puno, the one with glasses. He is also a Dianchuanshi named Master Lin Jinong Dianchuanshi. And in this Zoom meeting, there's also a Dianchuanshi from Cebu called Tian Dianchuanshi. Now, I don't know why she was not in this picture. Maybe she was elsewhere, but she was also in this event. 咱大家人即时阵无拢会讲，哇，安尼那足福气诶，咱会当得着到了，白羊期时间嘛足久啦，10800年，10800年足久诶时间是毋是？足久诶时间，咱就会做慢慢啊来啦，咱就会做 relax 啦，咱就会做免讲甲足急性诶，咱会做讲免足急性诶。就会则嘛是会当好好啊写，好好啊去受道，慢慢啊来。为着咱的时间过足久诶。不过叫我问你看觅，咱的时间有遮也久吧？So when we see this picture, we see, oh, now each and every one of us can receive Tao, correct? And since it's 10,800 years, we have plenty of time. We have plenty of opportunity to receive Tao. So we can just do it slowly, right? Live life, enjoy life in all its material senses. You don't need to cultivate Tao with any sense of urgency, correct? But let me ask you this. Do we really have a very long time? Do we? 咱真正有遐久的时间吧？咱想看觅哦。其实咱发生的灾难足多呐。今年的初，伫菲律宾有迄刷病去。Hello， 今年的迄个初无迄刷病去。了中啊时阵无有发生着咱的有年比起来，毋过咱有法当保障讲，一定逐摆拢会安尼吧，逐摆拢会福气吧。了，咱即马嘛是看会着咱即马的情形，为着咱的肺炎。点数当然毋是问题啊，点数其实点出来听讲嘛袂歹啊。毋过，若是你讲要求道、要办道，安尼就较无方便啊。咱会惊讲会甲肺炎传互别人，所以咱即马会通会当 guarantee 会当保障讲，咱真有大机会当办道吧，通受道吧，要永远会共款遐侪机会吧。其实咱的世间为着咱人拢无甲世间照顾地球照顾好势，嘛毋知咱有法通活偌久呐，毋知咱有法通写。当然咱受道人无，咱嘛毋通放弃希望，毋通讲咱要写， ang buhay ko siwa, o sila ang buhay ko wa, ang may kisok syuto la. Mko lang masi ay tansya lang masi ay kan siya ka kaya saya jinki si siya metay. Last year in Philippines, when the year started, the volcano erupted, and then at the middle of the year, and this was global, there was coronavirus, and then middle of last year as well in Philippines. Maybe it's a little better right now in Philippines, but as for me, I'm in Taiwan. It's gotten worse for us this year. We were lucky enough to not be very heavily impacted by the corona last year. It's not the same this. We cannot really gather in temple, in lecture. My apologies if the internet is not super good, but I will try my best anyway. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the coronavirus made us so that it's impossible for us to attend lectures in the temple. So what we do right now is Zoom, which is good. I mean, all of us can be in a virtual conference, in a video conference together, listening to lecture like this, even though my internet's not perfect. But listening to lectures like this is not bad. But what about if we want to like have a seminar, or if we want to have a Tao ceremony? Then that's harder because we're afraid to transmit the virus. We're afraid that gathering too many people will risk some people getting sick, and that's why we have less and less chance to arrange a Tao initiation ceremony, and it's hard to live like that. And we don't know how long we're gonna be like this. But of course, I don't mean to say that we should be losing hope or giving up on life, and especially giving up on Tao cultivation. If anything, uh, we should strive harder, pray harder, and hope that things will improve. But we also have to be realistic. We cannot always be dreamers. We have to be pragmatists and understand that we deal with what we have right now and hope for the best, and not lose this chance to propagate and cultivate Tao, because it will not always be like this. Even if our quite young period is supposed to last longer, we cannot guarantee that the world is going to maintain its purity, especially with people polluting the environment and not taking care of each other. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. And that's why we should be more urgent in Tao cultivation and propagation. So, Aochige, hey, 等住啊。OK， Aochige，就是中途男生，中途歹死。这个有诶写乡下看有诶是写做讲是中途男生，有诶是讲中华男生。诶，乡下是感觉讲中途男生讲较比较准，不过嘛毋是为着讲中华男生是无准，嘛是有原因。这嘛是这是第三个男生会写诶重点。咱诶天地诶中心诶所在有四个，四个是啥物四个？有埃及、印度、Mesopotamia 到中国，这四个。The third difficulty of Tao cultivation is the difficulty of finding the right environment. The right environment in my lecture materials, because this lecture has been spoken several times by other lecturers better than me. Some of them said difficulty of living in Chinese environment. Me personally, I felt like right environment is a more valid way of saying it, but it's not for no reason. It's not for bad reason or without reason why it was called Chinese environment in other lectures. Now, to understand this, we have to understand the cradle of civilization. which is the Egypt, India, Mesopotamia, and China. These four countries were the starting point of human civilization. 世間的人無，上早的人攏是從這四個國家出來，有埃及，就是 Egypt， 有印度，就是 India， 有 Mesopotamia， 就是即賣 Iraq、Iran、Babylon， 了有中國。中國交因無共款無，就是中國無，是從以早到即賣，閣有保護着伊嘅文化。等於是講，干那中國無有甲多對以早傳到即賣，其他無攏變啊，其他攏無去啊，迄軍攏轉去啊。So these four cradles of civilization is the four countries where the human being were born. It was Egypt, India, Mesopotamia, which is Iraq, Iran, Babylon, and China. It was these four. China is different from the rest of them in that China was the only one in which the past was preserved today, and the Tao was never broken. So in the other, the Egypt, the India, and the Mesopotamia, the thread of their culture has altered beyond what was original, and they no longer have the thread of Tao from the time that they began. 我第二項無就是咱世界5個宗教，攏是對亞洲系嘅。咱嘅5個宗教是啥物？有基督教，有回教，有佛教、孔子教、儒教叫道教。這5個無，攏是亞洲。Israel 亞洲，印度亞洲，攏是亞洲。你看迄個亞洲迄字，亞洲嘅亞有一個十字架，迄嘛是個原因，為着咱嘅宗教嘅重點攏是佇亞洲。The world's 5 main religions were birthed from Asia. What are the 5 main religions? It's Christianity, it's Islam, Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism. All of them were from Asia. Israel is Asia. India is Asia. China, we don't even have to talk about China, it's Asia for sure. And if you look at the Chinese character for Asia, which is Yazhou, the one I highlighted in red, the left character is Ya. There's a cross at the center of the character. And that is not for no reason. It is the crossroads, the starting point of our religion. And dito si kana nandito nanti siya bo nanti hige lekangto di bo 就是講，有啥物呢？弘揚中華文化，一貫到宗旨有一句就是講，咱來弘揚中華文化 ，promote Chinese culture。為着咱嘅中華文化無，咱才有法當啥？咱就是咱才有法當受道、得道、再傳道。這毋是為着後學叫恁一定愛啥，一定愛叫咱移民去中國，或是移民去台灣，毋是這個意思。後學嘅意思就是講，咱愛知影講，咱嘅道無，甲中華文化無，攏是啥一個袂分嘅啥中華文化。所以其實，雖然即馬即個時間無，也濟人攏看無起亞洲人，佇美國有也濟即叫做啥，咧欺負亞洲人嘅代志 ，Asian hate crime。因為了解講，南是為咗咱中華文化無，都無法通傳到世間啦。所以咱都愛有啥，咱都愛為咱嘅中華文化無有光榮有 proud。了若是咱即毋是啥，毋是中國人嘅啥，道歉袂要緊，道歉無分國家咩中國人。 Bicok lang, Philippine lang, buwani hun. Ko masih ai tsai kong nanai siya, nanai尊敬 nanai siya, nanai respect Trung Quốc嘅社文化，中國嘅文化叫多嘅你解多啲袂遠是這個。Okay, so which is why from knowing that China and Asia is the birth point of civilization and religion, one of the essence, the key of Tao cultivation is to promote Chinese culture. And I'm not saying this to tell you guys to be Chinese, to move to China, or to move to Taiwan, or to learn Chinese. I mean, there's nothing wrong with learning Chinese. It's good. You will have a lot of job opportunities, but it's not essential. And in Tao, we don't distinct between Chinese, American, Batangueño, Bacolod, Ilonggo, Taga Laguna, or Filipino, or wherever. We are all the same race, the human race. But we should also understand that what is being taught in Tao is not going to be different from what is being taught in Chinese culture. And that's why we should be giving Chinese culture its due respect. And even with the things that are happening lately in America, in Western countries where Asians are being abused and being victims of acts of violence, they are wrong to do that. They should not be doing that. Because without Chinese culture, the Tao will not be propagating to those places now. And it's also for that reason that it's hard to, even with Tao Chins that try their hardest, it's still not easy. It's hard. It's very challenging. And that's why I respect our Lin Jingnong Tian Chuan Shi, the one you saw in the picture a while ago. He's actually a master based in San Francisco, which is part of America. I respect him a lot because it's very hard to transmit Tao to Western countries. 其實咱傳道嘅時雖然有傳到美國，有傳到西方嘅國家，譬如講咱點拄啊相比看到嘅林進龍電傳師，伊是點下舊金山嘅電傳師，點遐傳道是足艱苦嘅，為着無啥人對道有信任，無啥人對中華嘅文化有尊敬，所以艱苦傳道。所以咱其實咱嘛是愛食感謝咱嘅咱就感謝咱嘅電傳師，咱嘅前輩，咱嘅前人，因有法當犧牲，做大犧牲，甲咱嘅師尊師表做大犧牲，甲咱嘅道傳嚟規世界。雖然唔是攏國家攏也好傳道，不過伊嘛是有法通傳道。了，咱嘛是愛也感謝講，雖然咱大嘅所在無一定講是上水，無一定講是上有錢。譬如講，咱大部分地主咪咱是住菲律賓嘛，咱大部分啦，小學嘛是住菲律賓，雖然即馬小學佇台灣，不過咱小學是住菲律賓出自佇菲律賓大漢嘅。菲律賓唔是上好嘅國家啦，菲律賓有伊嘅問題，政府無真夠，也夠塞車，也夠漲水。不過菲律賓嘛是有伊嘅好，了咱唔是佇菲律賓出自無，譬如講咱是點別個國家大漢，咱點有法通得到，嘛無一定是毋是？所以咱嘛是愛也感謝咱嘅環境，咱大嘅所在，咱嘛是愛也感謝咱嘅老前人，咱嘅師尊師表，為着因嘅痛苦，因嘅犧牲，咱才有法通得到。So, we have to really understand that, in fact, the propagation of Tao is very hard. And even though the environment that we are living in, for example, us in our Zoom meeting, we're all from Philippines. And Philippines is not a perfect country. Philippines has a lot of problems. Our government are not the best. There's traffic jam all the time, and we always get flooded. It's not a perfect country. But have we been born elsewhere? Would we be given the blessing to receive Tao? Would we have met our enlightened masters who are working tirelessly? Would we have been given the chance to receive Tao through the guidance of our holy teachers, of our Shizun and Shimu, if they had not sacrificed and worked hard to promote the culture and the truth to us? We couldn't. And that's why we have to be very thankful that we are born in the right environment. It's not important that our environment does not give us a lot of money. It's not important that our environment does not give us the most convenient way of transportation. What is most important is we are able to receive Tao and to live a good life. That's what matters. And that's why we have to be thankful. Okay? So the last one, 想要背就是第四个，真道难逢，真道难逢。也就是讲，要要下，要得着道无，是足艰苦的。安怎讲艰苦？第一项就是讲，咱得着道无，咱第三次爱踮白羊起造化能得着道。那第二项无，就是讲，咱的啥？咱的这讲完佛，这讲话佛教啥发挥菩萨的名师，就是爱点传师，伊互因有这个啥，有这个名，通互咱得到，咱造化能求得到。咱的啥，咱的点传师拢是有经过咱的这讲话佛教发挥菩萨的啥，啥代表做咱的啥，咱的得得到的一个啥，的一个点，的一个名师。咱爱对着咱的名师，咱造化能求得到。So the last one is the difficulty of attaining the truth. In addition to living in the right period, which is the white period, we have to be able to meet our enlightened masters, to be able to receive. Our enlightened masters are representative of our Buddha Qigong and our Yehui Bodhisattva. They are given the decree of heaven to receive Tao, to transmit Tao to us, so that we can receive. 咱想看卖，虽然咱讲三宝，咱讲咱三宝，咱求道时阵无，咱三宝是袂这甲人讲的，袂这写的谱啊，袂这抄，袂这传。不过这个时间无，这时代无，有 internet。咱大家都请咱想看卖，咱有 internet， 你敢无人有乌白甲咱的三宝写喺 internet 顶悬吧？人无遐好啦，讲甲歹听，人无遐好啦。有人已经写喺 internet 啦，不过有写 internet 嘛无。虽然咱有个人无求道，伊踮网络会看会着三宝，乌白踮网络头看三宝，因踮网络头看三宝，知影三宝，因踮都已经是有得到名师的指点，无啊，伊的名嘛无写喺龙天表顶悬，嘛无等于讲嘛无对 Book of Death 写喺 Book of Life， 所写无写喺龙天表无嘛无等于讲因的名已经有登记嘅写天堂顶悬啊。所虽然踮网络找会着，嘛无等于讲因有求道啊。So, for example, our three treasures. When we receive Tao, we are told in our lectures that three treasures we should only remember through our heart. We must not leak it to the outside world. We must not write it. We must not tell it to people who are not initiated. But do you think that in this era of internet, of social media, that no one has leaked our three treasures? I'm gonna be keeping it real to everyone. People are not great. There's a lot of terrible people in the world. Of course, some people don't keep secrets well. Of course, some people have already written the three treasures. I have personally seen that in the internet myself. But just because someone who has not received Tao in the temple from our enlightened masters, just because someone can read it in the internet, does that mean they have received Tao? Just because they know the three treasures from reading online. What does it matter? That doesn't mean anything. They still haven't received Tao. All they know is what those three treasures are. But their names are not written in the Long Tian Piao, the parchment paper that gets incensed in the initiation ceremony and written, registered in the book of life. Their names are not written there. They have not received the blessing from our enlightened masters appointed by our Buddha Qigong and Yehui Bodhisattva. So just because they know doesn't mean they have it. 嗰第二嗰阿嗰白嘢無就是，咱嘅道無，那毋是人非人不傳，了旁門嘛袂傳，但係 fake religion 假宗教嘛袂傳。了特別是即擺嘅時代無，也侪人攏無信心，會更加歹受道，更加歹得道。也侪人攏干那講啊，我無相信神，我干那相信科學爾。我若是人，干那相信科學，無相信神，即馬生活袂曉快活，咱會干那學家己受更加大嘅傷害爾。若毋是為咗咱神嘅照顧，咱即馬會活更加慘。所以，咱都愛知影講，咱會就忘着根無，才可當行善行佛。若忘無着根無，咱干那車尾修行，車尾修行啊，下修行，咱干那咧拍算時間呀。毋過，就咱有忘着根無，咱有求道無，咱都愛人受道，咱就法人，咱來做佛祖，所以都愛珍惜這機會。So, in addition to receiving blessings from our masters, if you're not a human, the Tao doesn't transmit to non-humans. You cannot give the three treasures to your dog. You can't do that. You can't give the three treasures to your cat. There's also the existence of a lot of fake religions today. So many. There's so many fake religions. And then, especially in today's age, a lot of people say, I don't believe in God. I only believe in science. But you know, science without faith only has the capacity to destroy humanity. It's because of science with faith that we are able to progress.
那毋是人無會做傳，做到旁人不信。
So, which is why we have to know that if you understand the truth, if you hold onto the root, you can become saint. If you do not hold onto the root, if you are blind, if you do not understand the truth, if you do not cultivate, you are just blindly walking through life, and you are wasting your lifetime. You're wasting your life. And that's why we have to understand that to attain the truth is very difficult. So we should cherish this opportunity. So, 咱都愛感謝咱的彌勒祖師，咱的南海古佛，咱的濟公活佛，互咱有一個機會通修道、通辦道、通傳道，咱有一個機會通做伙學習。咱都愛感謝咱的社，咱就感謝咱的前人，咱的老祖師，咱的典傳師，互咱一個機會通修道。所以，佇這個全地講煞時陣無，我要分享兩個詩。第一個就是萬劫千生的，你要念，咱就是做伙念嘛。咱做伙念。萬劫 先生得个人，
得个人，
须知前世种乃因。此生不向今生度，更待何时度此生 ？OK， 哦，即马先讲英文咯。So we have to be very thankful to our Buddha Jigong, to our Buddha Mila, and to our Goddess of Mercy for taking care of us, for giving us the opportunity to receive and to cultivate Tao. We have to thank our enlightened masters, our Ten Chuan Shi, our Tianren, for giving us the opportunity to further our learning, our knowledge, and to give us the opportunity to practice. And in conclusion, I would like to share with you two poems. The first one is, being born into a human body requires million years of good karma. If you do not take this chance to attain Tao, how long will you have to wait for your next chance? So 这个第一诗的意思无，就是意思讲，咱要做人无，咱都爱有遐侪好的因果，千万年会好的因果，咱做人是做人。那即马咱有这个身，咱有这身躯通受，佫无要受刀无？安尼咱要等到偌久？你会通保证讲你会死得着的时间吧？你会死得着的所在吧？你会拄着名师吧？无法度嘛。So 干那都爱等。So in conclusion, the first poem, it tells us that to be a human is a gift because it requires a million years of accumulation of good merits, of good karma. And if you do not take this chance to attain Tao, to cultivate, then how long do you want to keep waiting? How long will you wait for your next chance? Can you guarantee that your next chance you will be born in the right period? You will meet the enlightened master? You will be born in the right environment? You cannot guarantee that. Có thể đi bố? Làm tôi đi bố? 人生中华最难生，三其真道更难逢。今得人生闻大道，务必早修早超生。So the next poem is, we are born in the right environment. We are living in the right period. We have been guided by the truth. So we must cultivate and become enlightened. So 这个第二个意思就是讲无，咱即马伫踮着的所在，有受着中华文化的影响的所在，时出咱是这所在，咱踮着的产市着的时间，活这个着的时间，了咱已经有人心，有身躯，通听着道，通得着道，通受道。所以咱即摆咱都爱趁这个机会，通较早超生了死，通较早受道，就是这意思。Okay? So, in conclusion, the second poem is telling us that we are born in the right environment where we can be touched by the teachings of Tao. We are born in the right period where we can be given the opportunity to propagate Tao around the world. We are born in the human body where we are given the chance to hear and to receive and to transmit. And now that we know that, don't waste time. Let's take this now. Let's take this chance now to cultivate and to become enlightened as soon as we can, ASAP. So, 今仔的专题就讲到这。若有讲啥物唔对的所在无，而且先佛说做， 请点传师补充圆满，
嗯
要请各位道亲原谅，要祝各位道亲身体健康，要平安快乐。So I would like to end this lecture today right here, and I would like to ask for our forgiveness from our saints and sages, and for our enlightened masters, our Tenchuan Shi, to give us a supplementary support and understanding of our lecture. And we would also like to ask for forgiveness from our Taochins, from everyone, for our listeners, for if I has spoken anything wrong, and if my internet is not so good. And I also wish all of you a good health and a peaceful life and everlasting joy. 谢谢大家. Thank you, everyone.
谢谢，
Thank you,
谢
Brother
谢，
Christopher.
谢谢你们。
咱来请咱的蔡典传师给咱做一个结论，请典传师准备。
因为时间的关系吼，协法也无说真多，请全员替协法翻译一下。
Because of it's already past 9, our Tenchuan will not talk long.
那么关于今仔日这个得道四难，还是修道四难哦，应该大家拢听有哦，迄重点的说什么？内面若较有迄个打问号的，拍问号就是敢若讲迄个中土难生，还是中华难生。
So tonight's topic is about the 4 difficulties of cultivation, or the 4 difficulties of attaining Tao. And this topic is quite familiar with everyone, and Tenchuan thinks that we can all understand. But in one of its segment about the Zhong Tu Nan Seng, where it says that it is difficult to be born in the right environment.
迄个就是吼，毋是讲代表讲生做中国人一定较好，毋是安尼吼，毋是即个意思吼，伊是咧说讲咱主要的一寡吼四大文明拢是对即个亚洲即个所在来，但是即个四大文明内底咧，只有咱中国的文化经过几千年咧，拢总无转去，其他拢已经。譬如说讲迄个美索不达米亚啦，还是讲迄个埃及啊，还是讲印度，迄落拢有淡薄无送啊，有淡薄较稀奶啊。
So, but it doesn't mean that we are saying that it is only good if we are born to be Chinese. But it is telling us that of all the 4 big countries that at the center of this earth, only China was able to maintain its culture from the very beginning. Like, for example, Mesopotamia is no longer existing right now, and also Egypt and India, they all had so many changes since the beginning up to now.
中土难生，吼，你若要讲这讲中土就是亚洲吧，亚洲，亚洲是为地球内面算讲较中心的所在。咱来看卖一个吼，所有的宗教差不多拢是伫亚洲才产生的，拢总是吧，包括讲迄个犹太教啦，吼，那个耶稣教啦，还是穆斯林嘛，嘛是伫亚洲，以色列嘛是伫亚洲，所以咱讲世界5大宗教拢是伫亚洲才开始的。
So when we say that it is difficult of finding the right environment, it is telling us that all the main religions all originated from Asia, like the Christianity, it came from Israel and it is in Asia. Buddhism, it came from China and it is also in Asia.
但是4大文明、5大文明内底咧，吼，即中国的文明咧，愈久愈芳，愈久愈袂长。
So from the different great cultures, we can say that only the Chinese culture has maintained since the beginning, and the longer it existed, the better it's getting to be.
为什么呢？安尼呢？因为中国文化内底、中华文化内底咧，有真侪教人做人的道理。
So why is that so? Because in the Chinese culture, there are so many teachings that are telling us and teaching people how to become a person, a good person.
譬如说讲，咱一寡读中山的也好啦，台东的也好啦，中正也好，咱的孝训就是礼义廉耻，这就是中华文化真重要的一部分，那么咱中国文化内面就是咧讲，咱做人就是爱孝悌忠信、礼义廉耻，这拢做咱中华文化防拍袂倒的所在。
Like let us take example of the Chinese schools here in Philippines. May it in Tiongsan in Iloilo or in Taitung in Bacolod. Most of these schools, they have the motto of 礼义廉耻, and it also teaches students to have filial piety.
孝悌忠信、礼义廉耻嘛，所以这寡咱的中华文化内面这寡关系道德，这寡智慧咧，这个中华文化经过4、5千年敢若会愈来愈久、愈来愈芳。
Those are the reasons why after about 5,000 years of culture, the Chinese culture has getting to be better.
因为这个就是这款物件就是咱所讲的智慧、灵性、本性，的光明的智慧、光明的本性。
Because these are the things that teach us to have wisdom and to have our bright true self.
做咩爱讲道理的，就是一定会讲到一寡孝悌忠信、礼义廉耻吧。所以咱无形中，咱就是咧弘扬中华文化。
So in different lectures, we'll always mention about these cultures, and these are the things that are promoting the Chinese culture.
所以希望大家了解唔是讲迄个身躯即个肉是中国人的肉，唔是是讲咱来学迄个咱来传迄个中华文化迄个精髓，迄个 spirit，唔是讲这个肉体的中国人。
So it is not telling us that it is good to have the flesh and the blood of a Chinese, but it is telling us that we have to learn the Chinese culture and to learn from its spirit and essence.
那么因为点钟的关系，希望干讲简单补充遮讲了若较无好势的所在，请酒店粉丝，请点点粉丝主笔。请各位道请原谅，咱今仔日班就到这，祝各位大家身体健康、平安快乐。
So because of the time, we have to stop at this point, and our Tianchuansi is stating that if ever she has said anything wrong, she's asking pardon from our Zhou Tianchuansi and Tian Tianchuansi, and she wishes everyone to have a healthy body and a happy mind.
安尼咱结班。